Hi, it's Scott McCain. Not too long ago, I was trying to get from Tucson, Arizona to Orlando, Florida for a presentation. And, I was kind of worried this time of year there might be some thunderstorms or bad weather as I was connecting in Atlanta or when I was trying to get to Orlando. But never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that the airport in Tucson would be the one having trouble because of high crosswinds. They shut down the airport. They put us on the plane. Delta puts us on the plane, and we're about ready to take off, and then they make the announcement, everybody off the plane. The winds are so bad, we can't take off. Here's the problem. Once they got us off the plane, then I didn't get any more information. Now, the reason that's a challenge is because I got a speech the next morning in Orlando, and if I'm not there, I don't get paid. I imagine that for me, just as with you, making certain that we get compensated is a pretty major motivator. So what do? I can't get any information. I don't know if that plane's taken off. I go over for another flight that Delta has, and they say, well, it's going to take off, but there aren't any seats available. Well, come to find out, then that flight was delayed as well, but they didn't give any information. So I sprint out through security, down to another terminal, buy a ticket from American Airlines for another flight that they're going to have, go through security in the other terminal, get back to American. They're unloading the flight, getting ready to load us, and then they make the announcement that their crosswinds are pretty much the same as the crosswinds using the same runway, right? So now what do? Well, I call Delta, and then they tell me that the flight that I'm supposed to be on is going to make an unscheduled stop in Dallas to let some people off before. Now there's no way I'm going to make my connection in Atlanta. So I'm standing there at American. Then I get a call from my travel agent who says, oh, Delta's decided they're not going to stop in Dallas, run back. I made 3 trips between terminals for one simple reason. It wasn't the crosswinds that made me run back and forth. It's because I, as a customer, didn't get good information. Here's my fundamental question for you. Are you giving your customers enough information when there's a challenge? Typically what we do is, we don't want to admit that there's a problem. We don't want to admit that there's a fault. We don't want to admit that anything's wrong. Or we think if we just hold on and not tell them, they won't go someplace else to purchase, when instead what it does is to erode the trust and the loyalty that our customers have. One of the suggestions I'd make to you is what I suggested on a form I sent to Delta. Just tell me the truth. Communicate with me openly, transparently, honestly, and guess how I'm going to respond? Well, yeah, I might have gone to American and taken that flight, but I would have respected and appreciated the communication that I had with Delta, which would have meant that the next flight and the next flight and the next flight, I'd be flying with you. In fact, I ended up on the Delta flight because it didn't stop in Dallas. It had a later flight to Orlando that, even though I missed my first connection and a second connection, there was a third one that got me to Orlando in time for the presentation. But because I was so irritated, I canceled my flight back home on Delta and bought a ticket on American, because at least they told me the truth. Your customers are looking at long-term relationships based upon trust, based upon integrity, based upon transparency. By the way, one little last point to the story. When I told Delta about this, they corresponded, they apologized, they put enough miles into my SkyMiles account for a free ticket. But you know what? A free ticket wouldn't pay for a missed presentation and the distrust that I would have created with my client in Orlando had I not been there like I said I was going to be. In other words, if you don't help me keep my word, well, then that creates problems as well. I appreciated the miles that they put in the account, but I'd have rather had openness in communication. If you truly want to create distinction in today's marketplace, communicate openly, honestly, and transparently with your customers. This is Scott McCain. Thanks for watching.